Okay, greetings, friends and family. It's Jimmy Tebeau, and I'm here today with my friend Peggy Albers. What's up, Peggy? Thanks for coming in.
Woo, I'm so excited. You know, when you asked if I wanted to come at 10 a.m. or at 6, next time, kick me, because at the end of the day, you're pretty beat up.
And I want to brag about you, but I think maybe you should let everyone know who you are. I mean, a little tip is you had a great cable TV show this past summer, and we want to talk a little bit about that. But can you let everyone know a little bit about yourself?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. I don't know where to start. Of overcoming obstacles, of realtor extraordinaire, and have been doing a lot of building and developing. And, you know, my life has just truly been blessed, for real. Overcoming obstacles and thriving, it's kind of a satisfaction all of its own.
Oh, I've been seeing you moving and shaking, and it's like Peggy would be great to be on the show. Now, this past summer, you were on a cable TV show. I believe it was HGTV, and
Yes,
it was called, what was it called?
Lakefront Empire. And it's actually, it's actually still on HBO Max.
Okay.
And so, like, it's streaming. We're in the forever. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's actually streaming on HBO Max, and so we're in the forever Neverland.
Now, how did that come about? Well, the premise of the show is you're selling real estate. So you're a real estate agent in the area. You've got your own real estate. I say you got a new building over there next to Rusty Rooster.
Do you love it?
I do love it.
Oh my
yes.
gosh. I just want everybody to stop inside and check it out. You know, I'm remodeling it a little bit by little bit. My office is amazing, and just of paint and just trying to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But we kind of outgrew our little corner, and so we need to let everybody know that we moved.
Yeah, and you're right next to my one of my favorite restaurants for breakfast, the Rusty Rooster.
Love Rusty Rooster, and right by Big Thunder. Everybody loves a good fast boat. Big Thunder is super amazing, and we work well with them.
Oh yeah, they're right on the other side of you, and then down the street from the resort and the Encore,
yes,
which is where we're going to be doing a cannabis event. Merlin's letting us do a cannabis event over there.
Oh, good for him. You know, he always thinks outside of the box. I think you have to, you know. After COVID, you know, we felt the decline in people, and I feel like we're starting to feel it bounce back. So that's great.
Yeah. So now this cable TV show, it was filmed. Well, it aired last summer, from what I'm remembering, right?
But actually aired, and it seems like forever ago, March 17th. And it could have been April 17th.
Of 2024, though.
Of last year.
Okay.
And, you know, but they rolled in the summer before, and, you know, it took a lot. And I feel they could have just done it so much better. But, you know, I feel like the film guys, the crew that came, the directors, they gave them just so much material by the time that it got back, you know, to somebody else's hands who didn't know the characters, who were just watching film. It just turned out different. And then we didn't have a lot to pick from. And the people that some said that they would help until you get a 22-page contract from HGTV saying that we own your home, we can move anything, we own your rights, and you don't have any say for your home in 24 hours.
So it was all shot the summer before then?
Yes.
Okay. And they were here for, I think you told me, a couple months or something?
Oh my gosh, they were here for like 4 months. I mean, they were here for 90 days, and then they wound up coming back in October. You could see, you know, the trees had already changed at the very beginning scene. Leave it to me to have the rogue HGTV people show 3 houses, but nobody picked one, and then they never really gave you an ending to. It was really bizarre. You know, they are different. You know, you couldn't say Jack and Jill bathrooms. You couldn't say master bathrooms. You couldn't, you, of course, be political at all, but who wouldn't? But they tried to be more woke than like the Ozarks really is.
So it was reality TV, but then was it somewhat scripted, or those are real buyers, right?
Some, Some real buyers didn't get picked, and they picked people who, because they needed to be diverse. And so they would pick random people so all cultures could be met. But yes, 3 real, 3 weren't. And at the end, you didn't get a say. You didn't get to pick who won and who didn't and which house you wanted. You know, there were houses that should have been on it. There were people that should have been on it.
And the premise was you were showing these lakefront properties, like a lot of big, nice houses for those that are tuning in and didn't catch the show. But these are like $1 million homes, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million homes with huge boat docks. And these people were coming in from, some of them, California, New York, Illinois.
Yeah. Well, you know, it just was a bummer because, like, my favorite people, you know, like, not only did I liked them as clients, like, we became friends, you know, over the years. Like, they came to buy 2 condos in cash. And this was, like, in 2018, maybe 19, right? And I was like, instead of getting 2 condos, you know, we were big into vacation rentals, and I also own 4 Seasons Property Management. We manage about 89 properties around the lake. If you know, put your money on a big house with a pool and offset your debt, and they got in at the right time, and, you know, they made almost $1 million, probably about 700. So it's fun when you can help people accumulate wealth and love what you do. But yeah, they didn't get picked. And it was a bummer because they should have.
Because like, that's a great story, and it's real.
They had redid their home, you know, and so because they let you go back 2 years, because it wasn't like, it's not like you could just pick 3 homes and buy them. And so, yeah, they didn't have any ending to the story, and it was quite frustrating. I would get calls from Denmark or overseas, and are like, which house did they pick? I'm like, they haven't found one yet. The Coopers, I'm still showing the Coopers homes. You know, it's hard to get people to move when you have something great and they just need something better. And then when you need a whole family vote, it's like, just shoot me.
The idea, or one of the messages the show, I think, was getting out to the world is real estate at the lake is hot and it's desirable to everyone around the country, and it's a good investment because you can buy now and just sit on it. Aren't like some of these people just buying the property and they rarely go there, and it's just like they're land banking it, right?
We are a 3rd, 4th, 5th home market. I mean, we have a lot of people that aren't here full time, and yes, I do believe that they look at it as an investment. Of course, we can't sell anything saying that it will be an investment. You know, you can only hope that it has more value. But the lake is growing and thriving and doing better than ever.
Well, that's what I've noticed. You know, I've been running around down here since the late 1990s. You know, at one point we were doing those Schwagstock festivals at the base of Bagnell Dam in the early 2000s, and I remember what property values were then, and just seeing now, it's
a lot of people wish they would have bought, you know, then when they could, and unfortunately, a lot of times it outpriced people that could have actually bought, and now they can't.
I was looking at what topsider condos not too long ago, and they're starting to like around 400,000 and up to over $1 million if you're up on the top floors and you really trick your place out. And that's for a condo. And in the day I was there, it was like a Wednesday, and there was hardly any cars in the lot. I'm like, where's everybody at? It's like, well, a lot of them don't live here.
Right.
You know, and you're buying a condo. But then the condo with the boat slip, because I think you can get grandfathered in or whatever when you buy. You can get your slip too. But that, in theory, will increase in value. And plus, if you're coming to the lake, it's nice to have your own condo.
It definitely is. You know, whether it's however you can get to the lake and stay, just get here. It's fun. You know, if you're lucky enough you're lucky enough. However you can get here, tag along, ride along, just get here.
I tell people it's a recreation destination. It's like, what goes on down there?
It's a vibe. That's the best that I can say it. The lake has got its own vibe, and it always has, and it's just different from the rest of the world.
It seems like all lakes are created different. Like if you go down to Table Rock Lake, there's boating and there's some houses around the lake, but it doesn't have this party vibe. And then I drove to Kansas City the other day and drove through like Clinton, and that's another part of the lake, and I think it's even somewhat connected to this lake, but that's a whole fishing vibe over there.
My husband is the fisherman.
So he's probably, does he go over there? Well, I mean,
he just loves to fish. He can go anywhere.
You can fish right here, right?
He could fish right here, but no, he'll go up to the 70-mile marker, 60-mile marker. Like he'll pack up his boat and go, and that's where he enjoys it, I think, the most. It's a little quieter, but yeah.
I guess he's got his own boat.
Of course. He won the Big Bass Bash, the $100,000 fish.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't really complain, too much. He always wanted to be a bass fisherman, when he was a boy, and couldn't really quite make the cut. But he loves to get into a tournament in Lake of the Ozarks. That's one of the fun things to do. It's $200 to enter, and you have a chance to win $100,000. And him and his partner won. He split it with them, so I thought it was cool. I got a little percent too. I forget what I got to buy, but he shared.
Oh, that's so cool. What a great story. And that was here at the Lake of the Ozarks?
Yeah, just 2 seasons ago.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, yeah, when I was crossing over that part of the lake closer to Kansas City, there wasn't any houses along the banks, and I think that's a lot of government land. But then there was a lot of hotels and storage units for boats. So apparently a lot of people drive down from Kansas City, I'm guessing, and they have boats, and they go out in that lake and they fish.
I'm sheltered. When I came home, it was time to work. And I was gone a long time, so I feel like everybody talks about all these places, and, my main focus has just always been, our little lake area from, Lowry to Sunrise Beach, our little circle. And I really don't go too far from home. I mean, I will, jump and go on a vacation, but I haven't got to drive around and experience all our lakes. I was always working. Work.
There's in Lake the Ozarks region seems to be growing. I went through Lowry the other day, and there's a whole little scene popping up over there.
It's crazy, and it's great too. The Kansas City people, it's just a quick hit for them. They can come down, and it's not so far to the other side. If you're on a time budget, that 30 minutes makes a difference for some people. The Lowry Sunrise Beach side is perfect.
Yeah, and you're still at Lake
the
Ozarks.
You're just right. Exactly.
We're here. We're partying.
Yes, and you get a little more bang for your buck over there, so people can actually have a little more.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's a couple, at least one dispensary and a manufacturing facility right on the main drag there. I'm like, all right.
I think there is a few. It's just hard to, be open all year around there as businesses. So, we do try to drive over there and support. We were over there today and ate, you have to try to just support.
They got some funny clubs over there. What's the one? Chicks and Dicks. Have you seen that one?
I'm not a big clubber.
I haven't been in there either, but I drove by. I'm like, well, that's a meat market bar.
Yeah.
Fat Mike and the bartenders played there on New Year's Eve. I know this because I'm friends with Fat Mike. And then what else is over there? Oh, Dick's Halfway In. Isn't that another one?
Oh, yeah.
2 clubs with innuendos in them. I'm like, this town is
They're
partying.
crazy up there.
Yeah, there was another one too, something Dick's or another. There was, but I'm like, this town is partying, and then they have the biker bar campground right at the edge of town, the Great American Club, something like that, and they have an outdoor stage and cabins. I was like, what a cool scene. And but okay, so back to your cable TV show. How did that all come about? Because I was like, did you got picked? And then I was looking at pictures. There was a few other people that were on there too. Are those people that were on your team, or just other real estate agents?
Again, you suggested, Sierra Grind. She's gorgeous. She's got the eyes and the hair and her skin. She is beautiful and perfect. You got Justin and Jonas. We're all children of realtors that have been around a long time. We didn't get Ryan Gattemeyer in there, but Tanya Grine and Lynn Farrell and my dad Jim Albers, and of course Bob Gattemeyer. They've been around a long time, so we have no choice but to succeed.
Yeah, it was a good group of people,
and then they picked a couple of random people from St. Louis, and we got to meet Gerardo, that he was pretty cool, from Jefferson City. So that was nice to meet somebody cool. If you're gonna, grab somebody diverse, he was a great pick. He's a super cool guy. It's just different. It's different when you're from the lake. Local knowledge.
And they how did you reach out to them, or
No.
did they your phone rang one day and they're like, you want to be on a TV show?
I kind of thought it was a joke after the American Dream, because the American Dream rolled in and said they were going to do a TV show, and that you were on top of your game, and then you walked in and they had a whole room full of people, and they just said, we're coming to Lake of the Ozarks, and we're only going to pick 5 people. And if you didn't do it, the next person would. And so you're like, wow, if American Dream is coming, pick me. It was $25,000 for a year. And then they want you in this group. And so, yay, they basically, it's pay to play. The best, to get recognized. You don't have commercials, whatever. And so, yeah, I signed up, and they announced in the Lake Expo, the 5 people, right? And so you're like, yay. And then 3 days later, all of a sudden, that it did so well that they were going to have 2 shows, and they picked 10 people. Well, I have stayed pretty much in the top 10 after my second year. I mean, thriving with people that have done it their whole life. I started my new business in October. And so had to start from scratch, and I still ended with $21 million at under number 22, and I did more in 90 days than what 600 agents did in a year.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's crazy.
Love it.
Only through
Love
the grace
it.
of God. There's no other
so good.
explanation, of just putting up serious numbers. And I have a great team, licensed assistants that, everybody has got their job because, I wasn't around computers, and I'm horrible, at that. I'm good at negotiating, finding, the flaws in houses. So everybody just gets to do what they're good at.
Love that. So you so how did you get picked for the Lakefront thing? Because you were talking about this other show that you were involved with.
So when they called, I wound up getting my money back from American Dream. They basically hired anybody that would write the check, and if they were gonna pick the 9 people above me, what made me so different? So within 72 hours, I had canceled the American Dream and got my money back. So by the time HGTV calling, they're like, this is HGTV. And I'm like, yeah, right, click. And then they called back, and I'm like, how much is this going to cost?
Oh, do you think they got your info through that other show?
They
You
said
think it was
somebody,
unrelated?
And just I, recommended Justin and Jonas and Sierra, and I recommended Mike Swift and Clara, wanted to bring different cultures, from everybody. They, I think they were trying to do something else, so they didn't actually, do it. I wish they would have. It would have definitely, helped added some color. But they were, it was rogue anyway. Like I said, there wasn't enough properties. And there weren't enough buyers that were in town. Like, they needed you to film now. There was no notice. It wasn't like, oh, by the way, we're coming to town. Like, they were here. They rolled in. And, like, it was like, sign today, film tomorrow, go, go, go once they came.
So you got the call, and they called back, and then they were like, hey, look, you don't have to pay.
No, the person that called was Hit and Run Creative. And they were a bunch of kids, I can't say bunch, but I think a group of 6 that go around film and pitch to Peacock, Netflix, and to try to get something. So the creators at first basically, they came once and they worked with 5 realtors, and then when they came again, they, chose different people. But yeah, so it was a pitch.
Okay, so they came in and they're gambling, they're gathering the content and they're gambling their time and their efforts to pitch this show that hoping one of the cable networks will pick them up.
Right.
And HGTV liked it, apparently.
That they what you didn't know is, when they came, that you had to do 3 shows, and then the guy behind the scenes goes, I hope this works. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, they just do 3 shows, and then it goes through a cost profit analysis. Do they scrap it or do they continue? And so you did it for 90 days, you did 3, I shouldn't say 90 days. You filmed 3 shows and took time out. I mean, Gary Pruitt took time out of a very busy schedule to help, and you didn't even know if it was going to work. And so when we finally got picked up, they said we would know in 3 to 4 weeks. It was 5 to 6 weeks, and I guess it got held up because the director was negotiating his contract.
I see. So you shot 3 shows.
And then they came in, and it was in the middle of summer. They paid us $4,000 an episode.
Per person?
Yes.
That was pretty good. I was going to ask that. I'm glad you volunteered that.
But not being mean, me and my sister sell $100 million worth of real estate in a year. And as the world is uproar, on commissions, I'm fair, I'm negotiable, but I made over $1 million.
Right.
And if you don't work, guess what? You don't get paid. So that $4,000, cost me $60. But yeah, I had done very well. And that year, there was about almost a $600,000 difference. Now, I'm not saying that it was all the show, because when I filmed the last one, at the beginning of November, the market had already shifted a little bit, and it was kind of hard to jump in because I didn't have anything in my pipeline. I mean, I had still people that loved me and called me, but, you think you're going to have the TV show, and you're like, okay, hold on. The phones are going to start ringing. And what I found, people called to congratulate me, of, overcoming the addictions. Like, we had people that have lost their children. We've had people that lost their kids through addictions, and they were glad to see me make it. And I mean, I'm talking from Maryland to Russia. I mean, just bizarre places around the world of people reaching out, and I'm grateful, that they could have a champion, and they were just extremely proud. And that's something that I would never expect, that.
So you weren't expecting, though, you were expecting more calls of, hey, I want to buy one of those houses.
Yeah.
Which you did get a few more, but you were expecting a little bit more?
Yeah. But I mean, again, with nobody knew what was going on with the economy. The price of eggs was $7. Like, so the whole world of kind of just started sitting still. I mean, things are on and popping. I had over a $50 million year, so nobody, could complain. And I think we're 1 week in and I'm over 2 million now.
That's awesome.
So it is, my dad told me if you work part-time, you get part-time pay. And if you work full-time, you get full-time pay. And if you work overtime, you get overtime pay. Well, I'd been gone for so long. I didn't have any Social Security, no money of my own. My kid needed braces, a car. And to get out of my parents', I call it basement, but my father wants me to say lower level.
Oh, because it's
a
nice
basement.
finished basement.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a freaking basement.
But still, it's not
I
your
lived in
house.
the lower level.
Yeah.
And I just started working.
When was that? Because
2015, I got out.
and you were in prison.
Yes. And I had to go to a halfway house. And I drove from Columbia to here. And that's another whole story, too. Like,
well, how long were you in prison? How much time did you do?
Off and on, I did 15 years.
15 years. Wow.
I've been in several
Oh, okay. So it was a few different times,
locations.
few different charges.
They moved me.
Or it was one charge the whole time.
But I mean, I would get the state. It worked out really weird. You would get this long sentence, and then in a few years they would hope, like normal people, you would learn your lesson, and that you wouldn't come back. But I was prior and persistent, always thinking that I could do things, better or trying to improve myself. It just never turned out well. And I mean, if that's what it took to get me here today, and of the life-changing friends that I've met along the way, I wouldn't have changed everything, or anything. I was addicted. So by getting me out and away for so long, and then by allowing me to shine in a career that you do so well, like there's no option to, like, I'll never get in trouble again. The joke is my life is so boring, because I don't do anything. I work and I go home, and I work and I go home.
That's a great story. So what was it? What was your drug of choice? Was it like a cocaine or
my
methamphetamine?
drug of choice was more.
Just
more.
all the above.
Just more sex, more food, more drugs, like just more. It didn't matter if I could inhale it. I wanted to do it. I never got into needles, thank the Lord. I don't want to get that detailed, but I just like to party.
Well, being in a band as long as I have, we've had a few guitar players that have. Well, one of them died from an overdose.
I've lost
another one
friends.
Was what you just described,
but
just
there was
all the above.
To do in Lake of the Ozarks. We had one bowling alley and an ice skate. I mean, you literally waited for the lake to freeze to go ice skating. I mean, I am almost 50. Oh, I think I am 55. So I've been here like 51 years. I mean, there were gravel roads. I was going to say,
you born and raised here. You're in Lake Ozarks now.
Four. But that's just, I mean, from kindergarten to senior.
Wow.
We graduated and went to kindergarten. I graduated and started kindergarten here. So, I feel like I'm a true local.
We have a few things in common. It was 2014 when I got out of prison, and I had a federal charge, but I only did about a year and a half, counting the halfway house. Was yours state or federal? Or
I got 25 years from the state, which, and let's see, so the state gave me 25 years. They gave me a 15 and 2 10s. And so they kind of ran it consecutive.
There was some concurrency there.
And so, yes. And then right before I was getting ready to go home, I was literally 7.5 years, I'm giving my stuff away. And I worked up at the front, and they called me up, and there were 2 gentlemen there, and they're like, "Are you Peggy Albers?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And they're like, "You need to turn around and cuff up." And I'm like confused. I'm in prison. Like, who gets arrested in prison? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
what's that
I've got
about?
green peppers and green onions. Like, that's the worst. I haven't used, while I was in jail. Like, that's it. Green peppers and onions. Anyway, they took me to Jefferson City, where the man said, "Your Honor, we don't have any wiretaps. We don't have any undercover. We don't have any surveillance," and the judge said, "Do you mind telling me, what you do have?" And he goes, "Your Honor, we have the defendant's self-admission. She admitted to having knowledge of this and that and this, and she did not come forward like the federal law, and I got 10 years. 10 years for
like
basically telling on myself." Yes.
That's a conspiracy thing.
Yes.
Right?
And that's what sucks about the feds, is because, like, all they have to do is prove that you conspired, knew. And so, yes, I was whisked away, and I did 8.5 on that.
Holy cow. So you ended up with a federal charge
Yes.
along that, and they make you do 85%
Yes, sir.
at that time. I think it's lower now, I heard recently. But
Well, I did do the drug treatment.
the RDAP?
Yeah, I did the RDAP and I did the long term. I mean, I
did the RDAP
The
too.
RDAP, I think I did get kicked out. I was in constantly a white
That's
suit
a hard,
and had
that's
to
a
sit
9.5 month
by
thing.
myself. And I think I got kicked out like in the 9th month in the week. And I could have went to graduation where they said, I just don't feel like you're ready. And so
that would have got you a sentence reduction,
yes,
right?
it would have.
So you didn't get the reduction?
Nope.
Oh, and you were right there.
Yes.
When I was in that program, there was a few guys that, the one guy.
And it kicked in my 15-year backup
Oh, no.
by not completing it, by them kicking me out. And in hindsight, I wasn't, ready. I did 3 more years after that and still, wound up getting in trouble. So they were correct.
Wow.
I wasn't ready.
Well, that was a hard program. I compared it to like a really
I was just mad
difficult
that I did it
college
9
course.
months, and then because I wanted to check out.
Because it's only like 9.5 months long.
It was crazy.
You had 2 more weeks. Well, that's when it gets really, really hard.
It was, just the telling and the people just trying to get other people in trouble for favor. I've never been fond of.
I was in Yankton, South Dakota, at a federal prison camp, which didn't have the walls or the fences, and
Right.
the doors didn't lock. Is that similar to what you
The
had?
first one that I went to, Coleman, it was, just different times, whole new experience, no fences. I mean, if you were free to leave and add 5 years onto your sentence, and they just told you, there's, you could just walk out.
They count you 4 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you're not where you're supposed to be, when you get counted, you're counted as escaped. And
I always had good jobs, and so I got to work at Unicor. So it was like a home away from home. That you immerse yourself. The federal government had to buy like all their desks, all their chairs, all their office cubicles through Unicor, and so we built them. And so that's one thing that I did like, that, it let you work and earn money, even if it was only $1.
So what, there was manufacturing at the facility you were at?
Yes. All the women's and a lot of the men's, they were like work camps.
Wow. So
like General Powell, the whole Social Security department, huge in Texas, like we would ship them. And like one time I shipped something and it was supposed to go to like Maryland, and it ended up, and my boss was like, can you tell me? And I was like, God, I don't know what I was thinking. I just wrote down the wrong zip code. 3 truckloads of stuff I sent like 7 states.
Oh, no.
And then in Tallahassee, we were 911 operators. One city, one state.
Really?
And they had about 200 girls working 24 hours.
You were doing the 911 calls.
Yeah. I wasn't good at it. You were supposed to be off in 30 seconds. You had certain points. You were supposed to greet. You were supposed to reiterate the name. You were supposed to confirm, like, say it again, and then you were supposed to say have a good day, but you were like on a time, and they're like, okay, bye. What city, what state, St. Louis, and you're trying to find it, and I wasn't very good at it, and so that didn't last very long.
At the prison I was at, we all had jobs, but none of it was for manufacturing and that. A lot of the guys, they swept the hallways or they cleaned the bathrooms, but at the facility I was at, I didn't know what was going to be there. I just heard it was a nice place for being a prison. It was a former college campus. But over in the recreation center, they had a whole music department. And I didn't know that until the day I got there, which they had like 30 guitars, PA systems, rehearsal rooms. So I ended up like giving lessons to the other guys. I got to work in the music department and restring the guitars, and I fixed their PA system, showed everyone how to really use it. And then we put together 3 different bands. I had a band called the Fed Heads, which we played Grateful Dead in there. And then we had another heavy metal. We had a heavy metal band called Contraband. We were the Contraband. We never played a show because before our first show, the guitar player got caught with tobacco. Contraband. It's a true story. And then we were coming up for another gig. He got punished for a little bit, and you lose your privileges, such as playing in a band. So that went 2 weeks penalty or whatever. Then he got out, and then we had some Metallica songs worked up coming up for our first show. And then the drummer gets busted. There was a garden there, which part of one of the jobs was gardening, which the
restorative justice.
Yeah, the vegetables and that would go to the cafeteria. We'd all eat it, but some of them, our drummer was out there, and he thought he was going to sneak back some tomatoes into the dorm. But he got caught with it, and that's contraband. So then he lost the band privilege. So we never played a gig. That's the contraband. But we had jobs, and we were making $1 a day or whatever. But it wasn't like we had a contract with manufacturing. That's amazing. 911.
I was in charge. Coleman is actually one of the biggest prison camps. Like, there are 4 men's prisons and then the ladies' camps. So I guess there was a time that the men's camp and the women's camp were both open, which didn't turn out well. And so then they fenced in, the whole, it's massive. But I was in charge of the FedEx delivering to the wardens and the administration. You would jump on a golf cart and you would go and open the gate and deliver, get signatures. I was sending truckloads of furniture, and I was the last person to get paid. Like if they got all the shipment and they didn't get 2 chairs or this panel, I was the FedEx. I got the last thing done so they could get paid. So they were always on me.
Now, what state was this in?
Tallahassee. No, Coleman.
Coleman, what state?
Coleman, Florida.
Coleman, Florida.
I mean, there was Coleman, there was Alderson, there was Tallahassee.
Is that
there
by
was
Miami or Fort Lauderdale, middle of the state?
I don't
by the
even
ocean?
know.
You couldn't see the ocean.
I don't know.
Inland,
I just...
Maybe up on the north side.
Camp Cupcake. I missed Martha Stewart by a few months.
Yeah, she got she lied to federal
She
investigators.
didn't really do anything that anybody else doesn't do. I just think they tried to make an example out of her for real.
And I don't think she really got the hit for insider trading. I think the official charge was lying to an undercover investigator.
I don't know. I thought she did get the hit. I thought they did get, but I'm not sure. So I don't know either. I don't get into people's business because I don't want people to get into mine, so I don't care.
When I was in prison, I was in there at the same time that it was the movie director that directed Hunt for Red October and Die Hard, and he had done whatever Martha Stewart done. Like a federal investigator said, "Did you know anything about these illegal wiretaps?" Well, no, I didn't. And later they found out that he totally did. Or he was the guy that took the money to the former cop that had the wiretaps or something.
It's always something.
But while he was in there, he played the movie and then did a Q&A after the movie, which was pretty interesting. I was in there with a few people. I was in there with the guy the Asian guy that helped create the Chevy Volt, and they accused him of stealing trade secrets and selling it to the Chinese or something from Chevy or something. He denies it. They got his wife too, but he only got like 24 months or something. A lot of the guys I was in there with got 5, 10, 15, and 20-year sentences because it was federal. Did you see a lot of that? And you got one of those. You did some long time.
I think they do crack down hard on drugs, and they should. You're just not in your right mind. I just feel like, God worked through me. I mean, to be able to come home, and I've got to go to the Capitol and change licensing laws and fight, to win and to show people that you can overcome. It just takes hard work. But it's been quite the journey, and it's not over yet. I'm hoping, by the end of the year or next year to start public speaking and going to different places and, getting a group of girls and, having, I don't know, what would you call it? Getting a group of girls and, having a convention or a 3-day benefit, just to help.
Well, life is so hard, and through all the trials and tribulations, to see you flourishing so much, it's like, gosh, we should have Peggy on the show. You know,
it's just fun. I just say, that God makes my phone ring. Mm-hmm. And, I get to meet people because of the show, and they want to take pictures with me and, love it or hate it. It definitely helped, and it was an experience I would have never changed. I wouldn't have done it again. But I wouldn't have passed up, the experience, and it was definitely an experience.
I thought it was so cool. You tipped me off that the show was going to come out. Like, I think you were at the Regalia on a Monday night for poker or whatever, game night, and you were like, oh yeah, the show's coming out, and then it came out, and I saw it, and I was so like happy for Lake of the Ozarks, happy for you, and
I just wanted to highlight our little lake. I really did. For all the people that hate it, I understand, but there was a lot of people that loved it too.
Yeah, and we were talking one day at the Regalia. I'm like, man, that show is doing so well, and you're like, man, I'm getting a little pushback on it, and there's those Lake area Facebook groups, and I saw a few people critiquing it.
They were mean. There were some meanies.
I saw that. I'm like,
we'll leave it at that.
Is not fair. And I felt it was more jealousy and resentment, and I don't know if it was other real estate agents that felt they should have got picked, or it's just sometimes people don't want to see other people succeed. And
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I do. And I don't know why or how I just always go back to through the grace of God, because, my whole life has been quite the experience.
And I think that's what I told you, is for every one person that's vocally hating or just saying something disparaging, there's 10 to 100 new people that are like, hey, this
rooting you
cool.
on.
Yeah.
Well, I work night and day. I am just for you to try to get the most. I mean, I think, I just get involved. My clients are important. And, when that's all you do night and day is work, it makes a difference. And you can tell in my numbers. I mean, not that anybody is counting, but I do really well. I mean, for somebody that is only 9 years old, doing over $50 million.
I think that's what I said too. It's like, hey, you're selling more real estate, right? You're like, well, yeah.
Is okay. Crazy.
Yeah, because the proof is in the pudding right there. And, me being in the Schwag band for 34 years, and we've had some real peaks and valleys. And there's been times we've just, we've had haters as well. You're doing great. You're doing 200 shows a year. You're producing festivals with 7,000 people, and then you get emails of like, you suck. You're the worst musician ever. And I'm like, man, like somebody had to of course you're getting emails that are like, hey, your band changed my life, and oh, I think you're such a great musician, and hey, when are you playing again, or hey, can I hire you to play at my wedding? So you get those, but every now and then you get one of those. But
well, when you called, then you were like, hey, can you help? And I'm thinking, sure, I can help. And you were like, tomorrow. And I'm like, okay.
Like, why not? Well, the show's coming up. We got to do the show must go on.
The show must go on. And that is one thing I learned. So that's why, I'm just one that just says, okay, and makes it work.
I was glad you were available. Well, we were all snowed in for a few days there.
Yeah, and it made my sleep off kilter. So, like, I'm a little tired, like when you're snowed in and you have the fire and you don't, everything that I've been working on, is through the phone. And then when I went out today, because I knew I had to come, I couldn't even get to a couple places. Because of the snow. So.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was wondering. I didn't get out either until today. Mm-hmm. I just had to come up through Camden 10 up to OC.
The roads are great. We do have great road maintenance. Shout out to all the road maintenance people in Lake of the Ozarks and Osage Beach. We thank you.
It's a great little community.
Our firefighters, our police. I never thought I would get along and actually like the police, and I do.
The police here
to not
are
have
cool.
to, worry or wonder anymore. They're just, it's a great community.
There's another show coming out, I think, this week.
I can't wait to see who's
lake.
on it.
Yeah,
For once, I don't have to worry.
It's a new show, if listeners haven't heard.
When is it?
I think it's coming out on the 9th or something, or the 12th. It's on True TV, I believe, and it's a show. It's the Lake Ozark version of Cops.
Right.
And but I remember when they were filming that, and that's when the big story of there was the chase and the police car went up the road.
I hate that. I want to,
I don't know if that made the show, but there was a death,
hope that it doesn't, and everybody's respectful. It was tragic. And,
it was tragic.
It just sucks because once you sign the contract, you really don't get to pick. Once I signed the contract, it's not like they edited it with me. I mean, they had the locations and they had things wrong. And so I do. I hope it does well. Any highlight of our lake is good. I just hope they are gentle when it comes to that. That was a tragic event in our community.
Well, seeing the police in action and how they deal, people get really wasted down here, and I've seen those guys.
And they don't eat.
They don't eat, and they're hammered, drunk, and sometimes they're just downright mean. I've seen it more than a couple times where the police roll up, and there's a super drunk guy.
There's always one idiot in the bunch that just doesn't shut up.
There's always a super drunk guy, yeah. And everyone's like, get him out, call the police. The police show up, and the police are like, what do you want us to do with him? And this has happened to me at Schwagstock. I'm like, can you just make him leave? He's going to hurt himself or somebody here,
right.
And we just want him. And they're looking at him like, well, he's probably going to hurt someone else in the community. And I've seen it more than once where the police will be like, hey, buddy, how about you just walk away and we just pretend this never happened? Can you be cool? And I've seen it where they're so drunk, they're like, screw you, cop. And then they try headbutting the sergeant. And then they
it never does turn out well.
No. And then the police have to very gracefully whoop his ass, throw him in a police car, and he spend the night in jail. And he's got to go to court and pay some fines and probably do some probation for being an idiot.
Exactly.
At the base of Bagnell Dam one time, we were doing a Schwagstock there, and there was this super drunk Marine tourist guy. Heard there was a party at the dam, had no idea what band was playing or what we were. He was hammered, and he took a long neck bottle of beer, popped the lid off, took a drink. I know this because I heard the sound guy saw him. He told me, and we were playing, and we're almost done with this. We had 3 more songs left, and he threw the bottle of beer at the stage, and it's spinning, and I see it hurling, and it's coming at me, and it hits my bass guitar and shatters. There's glass, there's beer everywhere, but I'm trying to be a professional, so I keep going. My bass is out of tune a little bit. We finished the song. The Lake Ozark police were working for us at the time. They're always so cool. We paid them like $25 an hour off duty, and they wore their uniforms, but they heard there was a problem. They came over, chased the guy, took him down, handcuffed him, took him to the front gate. And then when I got off the stage, they had a golf cart and took me up there. And they're like, well, do you want to press charges for assault? And I'm like, how about he just walks away? And that was another time where there was the screw you pigs and the head button. And then he got an assault charge from the sergeant. And but they were so graceful about it. And the Lake Ozark police, and the fact that they made a version of that and the things they have to deal with. And I'm sure it'll be interesting compared to police in a small town, because people party crazy around here.
Oh, yes.
Now, your show was 8 episodes?
Yeah.
Was that it? 8 episodes?
Yes. 8.
And
long. And you could film for a week, and it was like 10 minutes. because they just take a little bit.
Oh, they
out
edit.
of
So they didn't use 95% of what they shot.
Exactly.
Now, what was a typical day? You'd have 2 houses to show, and there was
you started at 8 a.m, and sometimes you would go until 8 p.m, and you would get either a break, in the afternoon, and then you'd have to come back at 3 because it was your listing, and they would want you to greet Sierra, at the door. So it was just like you were constantly on call, and because I made myself more available, because I had a team that could really help me, I got more airtime, and it became more about me and my story because the director was just intrigued. He was just like, Peggy, do you, look at this house, it's yours. Your husband didn't help you buy it. Like, you are a 1%. And he was just in such awe of just somebody that could actually do what I did. I mean, it's easy to say, but I mean, I've inquired, over 10 homes and sold, and have, I dreamt about, if I could only make $5 million, I would, be set. And, I have gone through a lot of real estate and have done, better than anybody's wildest dreams.
Yeah, I'm way impressed with what you've accomplished.
But of just of just homes, but the foundation I'm trying to get together for WOO for women. My foundation, WOO, for women overcoming obstacles. We're waiting, to be approved for a 501(c)(3) or whatever. WOO.
WOOO?
Yeah, no, just WOO. WOO for
women overcoming obstacles. That's I want to talk about that.
And so I helped about 10 girls, and whether it's homes and cell phones, and just each different situation of just helping women and their children, and housing, and getting back on their feet. And we've had some pretty good success, and some that you just kind of keep praying for, and the timing might not be right. But I've helped about 8 girls. I've helped a couple people get homes.
Wow.
I donate a lot of my commissions if you have a drug addicted parents, or different situations, to help these kids break the cycle, who are actually saving. Those are fun to help, that little first time home buyer, get out on their own. I love to sell big fancy, houses. I am good at it, but my passion is, just helping the normal average person. I bought a little development, to help with affordable housing. And so we just started footings, and so we're on our second one, and
that's
great. So it just is kind of fun.
Well, I noticed through watching the series that if there was a star of the show, I think it was you. I don't know if it was ever stated, but you got a lot of screen time.
Yeah, I kind of won, by default, by being available and having a good story, and that's really. What was one of the biggest struggles is because it turned out to be like a drug addict realtor that has made $1 million. And it was so much more than that, and it just didn't come across, and it was kind of real tacky. But once you sign the contract, you don't really get a say. But they had a lot of good footage, a lot of good background that they just cut. They didn't use, they, said things that was never said, I had said, Gary Pruitt, love him or hate him, he's changed the lake. I mean, I went to school with him when we were kids, and they started from nothing. And I mean, he gets in own equipment and moves dirt and just makes stuff happen. But in one of the segments, I said, love him or hate him, he's one of the most wealthiest people at the lake. Well, when the show came out, it said Robert Reagan, was one of the most wealthiest people at the lake.
Oh, they changed the character.
And it was like, what? And it was like, that never came out of my mouth. I mean, he's a great dude, right? He jumped and helped, and I'll be forever grateful. And he does well, but he's not one of the wealthiest people at the lake by far. And so when they switch things and pick their own characters and pick their own homes, and, it just wasn't a good vibe. And so I couldn't do a second. I couldn't renew. So
wait a minute, let me get this. You did 3 episodes for kind of like a sizzle type thing to get them to buy.
Yes.
And then so those 3 were in the can, and then you did 5 more after that. Okay.
And so, but the very first one that we did was last. So Gary Pruitt and Robert were my very first show. And I was a little chunker in that one. If you see me in the car, man, my face smiling, I mean, it was a round ball. I mean, even my big toe was fat. Nothing like making a girl lose weight when you say she's going to be on TV. Woo, I started walking. Give me the shot, like whatever.
Yeah.
And so I lost weight along the way. And then the very last show, I was the fattest. Anyway, it was fun.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say is it had to have been a good time.
It really was. And I appreciate, when I say, Robert Reagan gave up 3 days. Here you thought, oh, come on, just help me, friend, right? Okay, I'll help, and get suckered in for like 3 days. He's like, what are we doing? What do we got to do? And he was a trooper. Everybody was. The Coopers with Patriots, Bank, and Andy and Steven, my design guys from St. Louis. Everybody, Valerie, my little boat captain from Florida, she came back to help. So they're, everybody that pitched in, the show couldn't have happened without them. We needed people. Not being mean, everybody here, was older and Caucasian, and they were trying to get some diversity, so that it was hard. Most people that own 3rd, 4th, and 5th homes are over 50.
No, it's good that diversity was represented on the show and that they made a conscious effort to do that. I think overall the show brought more notoriety to the lake. The big show that brought notoriety to the lake was with that show called Ozarks,
Yeah, and it wasn't even filmed
here. It wasn't even filmed here. And it was a perfect storm with, it being at its peak popularity during the pandemic, and this being the Wild West and the no mask law out here in 2020. So that really, and that's probably when we all saw real estate going up in value, surprisingly. And
I think it just became because of the right to choose, mask or no mask. And people flocked just to have that right.
They wanted that freedom.
Even if they had a mask, they could still come and not be judged. It was, your body, your choice. And it definitely put a mark for us on the map. We made international news.
Yeah. And then when this show came together, I was like, this is great for the lake, and I knew it'd be great for you as a real estate agent and your business, And then I saw you got that new building.
I love my building. I hope stop by my building, you guys. Just stop by, see me, come check it out. 3287 Bagnell Dam Boulevard. Albers Real Estate Advisors. Local knowledge is a plus.
Did you have that building built, or was that already there?
No, it had been it was there already. We just added a little oomph to it, to make it a little different. So you have to come in and check it out.
It looks brand new to me.
It's great.
And the signage out front.
And behind we've got the massage lady. She was one of my first to sign. The insurance guy was there. Kind of a funny story. We just needed renters. We had open spaces, and so the Chinese massage lady came in and signed the contract. And I'm like, yay! My first lease, and then the next day I come to work, and here I'm trying to have an exclusive elite real estate company with global reach, and I pull into my office and there is a flag that says massage and like a naked lady, that said massage on a little sign, and I'm like,
it looked like a brothel.
And I mean, and I'm with clients, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just signed a lease. I guess I wasn't thinking. So I get on the phone and I'm like, hey, honey, we really can't have flags. I'll get a sign made that says massages in the rear. I mean, massages in behind. I mean,
fancy.
Massages. And I'm like, the flag is fine. Like, how do you gracefully say massages in the rear? You don't, so we'll have to get some different signage. But she does give excellent massages, and it's open daily till 8.
That's in the same building?
Down below.
Oh, there's a downstairs.
In the rear.
In the rear. So is there a parking lot?
Lower
right there?
level.
Yeah.
I don't know how, massages on the lower level. I mean, there's just no graceful way to say it.
I want to write a song, an innuendo song about this massage parlor.
And they're amazing people. I just don't know how to tell them it's in the back without... Anywho, but they are open until 8 o'clock at night, and then we have Alcorn Insurance. Then we have Four Seasons Property Management, and then Lake Movers. Bob Robinson from Lake Movers. If anybody has never used Bob Robinson, he is an old policeman from St. Charles. He came down here and he ran Hy-Vee. And started Lanai, like this Lake Area Needs Initiative. And that's how I met him, is he kind of wanted to do a bridge the gap from like the halfway house from coming home, like an outreach.
Yeah. There's
program.
a need there.
And so when I came home, I jumped in, and then it kind of turned into something else, But Bob Robinson asked to be a part of my team. And so then he kind of branched off to Lake Movers, but I think he's got like 20 employees, but like drives all the way to Seattle, has great pricing and being insured and bonded. But I mean, like everything is wrapped. Like to unwrap it, you almost need to call the movers because it's so like wrapped so good. Like you gotta get the.
So he's got an office in that building?
Yeah, that building is 8,000 square feet, 4,000 up and 4,000.
Are you the entirety of the upper level?
That and Geneva Financial, they have a little office up there. But yes, we're
so I see the main door in the middle.
Yes,
you go
that's
in.
us. The main door in the middle. Walk in and gain knowledge. Free market analysis. Come check my flooring. It's the most gorgeous rock, blue shattered. I'm a work in progress. I have to pay as I go. If I sell something good, I'll get something. I wish I could have like blown out and did the whole remodel. But it'll come when I can.
I'm stopping by.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope everybody stops by and sees me. We're in a new location. Everybody thought we were in the corner, for so long because my dad ran, Four Seasons Realty. And so, yes, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do the radio show. I grabbed some billboards just to let people know we've moved.
Right. Well, also, I thought I saw one of your Facebook post. Are you your own brokerage now or something? Tell us about that. How did that come to be?
Well, we, me and my sister owned the corner where Four Seasons Realty was, and then we merged with KW. And after...
Which is Keller Williams.
KW, Keller Williams. Right. They at the time I felt had like the best pay schedule. And so we all jumped on board. But when we changed offices, it was kind of hard to continue. So here I have my new office, and I'm still paying KW office dues.
Because you have
I'm
to
still giving them $25,000. Mary's giving them $25,000. Everybody underneath me is giving $11,000, and all of a sudden I'm paying KW $100,000 a year for an office that I just stop in to get checks, and then I didn't even stop in to get checks because I started direct deposit about a year later. And so, it was, we stayed a year longer than we would have because I couldn't get my sister to agree.
Because, well, a real estate agent has to work under a broker, right?
Yes.
Just for some listeners that didn't know that. So you're a real estate agent, but not a broker. So you have to be under a broker. So you were under KW for a while.
Right.
But now you got this nice new building.
And we've got Ray as our broker.
So you got a broker in there.
Yes.
Now. Okay.
And, my sister's a broker. Sharon Rolfus is a broker. Kedra is a broker. We have several.
How big is the team over there? You got like 12 people working?
Well, I have like 3 part-time people and 3 licensed assistants that are, so it makes a big difference. So we have listing coordinator, closing coordinator. I hired Joe. He's a marketing guy that just graduated, from Mizzou. I hired an IT, specialist to, for help for your social networking and to get yourself out there. So I just do things a little different, have it all spread out. Then everybody can really do what they do best and kind of handle the flow over.
Well, and with the popularity of the show, I imagine the phone's ringing more and you get more traffic to your website.
And, people call at 9:00 at night and they're like, oh my God, I didn't think you were going to answer the phone. I was going to leave you a message. People will text at 11:30 and I'll answer and I'm so sorry. I thought, you would get it when you wake up, So it does help when you answer your phone and, communicate well. It makes a big difference.
Well, you're pretty public about your phone number, I noticed.
Yes.
I am too. I put it on the website. I'm like, call me, but I think people know I'm not going to call unless I got something really to say. Occasionally you'll get the late night drunk person.
569-8792, and I've never gotten a late night drunk person, so please don't start.
It'll be me.
Yeah, those drunk days are over. OVA.
I know, at our age, I think we're about the same age.
I am 55.
I'm just turned 57.
All right.
In October, yeah. So now it's our turn to really get some stuff done.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I am ready. I have learned a lot. I've grown, and I just can't wait to see what else life brings.
Yeah, we've all made our mistakes and have made the best of it. And
it's just how you pick yourself up, and stand tall and really just do you, because I can't worry about what anybody else thinks. I'm the best person that I've ever been. I give back. I'm knowledgeable. I'm kind. Life is good. Everybody in my circle wins. So if you're lucky enough to be in it, then you're lucky enough.
When I was in that RDAP program in prison, I had a pretty intense debate with one of the instructors where it came to the theory of, is a person a product of their environment or not? And he kept saying, well, no, you're not. And then my debate was, well, if you are in the environment of college and you get a degree, then you're a product of that environment. But he's like, oh, if you live in the ghetto, does that mean you're destined for a life of crime and you're going to be in prison? Which was the case with some of the guys I was in prison with. And they had to overcome that or whatever. But then I also brought up, well, if you're a product of your environment or you're not, but you're still in control of what environment you put yourself in and what you choose to do with yourself in that environment as well. But ultimately, I learned not to debate those guys and just agree with what they're saying with and get through the program. So I had to get up in front of the group and say that, no, you are not a product of your environment, even though I had a little bit more of a theory. But it didn't matter because, what it is what it is.
Well, in a sense, a product of your environment, I just feel it goes both ways. You have, kids that come from bad environments that, vow not to use drugs or vow not to drink because their parents were addicts. So I think it does go, both ways. It doesn't matter the product because, I think you're self-disposed. You're gonna, the plan is already there.
Yeah, and I think now that I look back on it, I think this instructor was trying to get the point across to everyone that you can overcome diversity
Right.
in
And sometimes just doesn't know how to say it very well.
right. And I got it too. It's just I always like being a little bit more in depth.
It was just that, I had problems because I didn't come from a bad family. I didn't, have bad brothers and sisters. I didn't, I wasn't normal, from getting in trouble. But I got in so much trouble because I didn't tell. If I would have told, I could have done 2.5 years and just been done.
Oh, they offered you that? They said,
yeah.
hey, if you snitch.
Yeah. I could have been released immediately. And on my own recognizance.
Was it a thing like they caught you with a 10 pounds of weed and they said, give up who you got it from? And
Yeah, that they just wanted, I had gotten busted and they wanted me to set up, where I got it.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I couldn't do that either.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. You don't get your blessings. I don't want to screw up somebody else because, I got screwed up. But yeah, however it worked, it's what I needed to be free of it. People were still in the same clothes, driving some of the same cars, still doing meth and coke, and it just seems like such a different world. To me now, like there's no options. I mean, it was, I thought it was always going to be a struggle coming back to the lake. And, thank the Lord that I met my husband, Kevin Grace, who doesn't, do drugs. And there's not too many people around the lake that didn't. And so, he was my rock. He lived on top of a mountain off the Osage River, and it takes me about 20 minutes to get to work. And I felt like that was one of the reasons why I was successful, because I'd have to get up early, and it was like down a long gravel road. So it wasn't like you went home for lunch, like you went to work and you came home, and he always rooted me on, like he is such a good soul. I mean, men are great normally until, you make more than them or you do better. People want you to do good, just not as good as them. But he always rooted. I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, like, I came home and, like, literally, I mean, my husband does very well. But I mean, I did $1.2 million one year, and I creamed him, and he rooted me on, the whole way. Not that he's never made that year.
There was no jealousy or resentment. He just cheered you on.
Dinner ready and a foot rub, and it just went on for days, and was truly my biggest fan, and I couldn't have done it without him. He helped me. One of the reasons why I do well is because I make my own business. I buy things, I sell things, I break things up. I'm building, I'm moving, I'm shaking, and I have a vast circle, and so it's just fun. It's just so much fun for me. It keeps me alive and alert, and I can just boop 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 boop, and it normally turns out well.
I like that, and me doing this radio show, I've been trying to bring in diverse people that have led interesting lives, and you've definitely are one of those people.
I appreciate you having me. Like I said, when you called, I try to be there for my community and people, and just tell people about me and what I do, and if there's any way that I can help anybody. Everybody knows my number at 573-569-8792, and people call for all sorts of different things and reasons. I feel like I'm a therapist, a counselor, a realtor, a friend, a taxi, you name it, landlord.
No, I love that. That's why I wanted to get you on the show. Well, we've been at it an hour and 15 minutes
Oh,
now.
well, I am going to let me get out of here because
Yeah.
I am tired and worn
Let's
out.
wrap it up. So thanks for being on the show.
I'm super excited. I can't believe I was thinking that it would be a quick 20, but I'm sure you'll do a great job. Good luck on everything you do, and we appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks. And you're listening to the Jimmy Tebeau Dam Radio Show here on Dam Radio. We'll see you next week.
Blessings.